That's a good bumper music with the Dave Clark pulling each other along show. We're glad that nobody is listening at this point yet. But this is 7:30 on Thursday, November 4th. And I have Dave Clark, Dave Geis, and who else do we got with us today? We got, oh, there we go. We finally got some bumper music. We don't have an audience yet, but we have bumper music. There's somebody showed up. All right. So as we're going live, there we go. It is the Pulling Each Other Along show, and that might be the worst introduction we've ever had. What do you think, Mr. Clark?
Sorry, I was singing. I forgot. I didn't hear that.
Axel Foley, right? Wasn't that his name?
Yes. Right. You told me to bring us in.
I can't remember half the things in the world, but I remembered that. All right. All right. We got the groove going. We got 6, 7 people. People say hi. This is the Pulling Each Other Along show. And we've got Kurt Ruskoff with us. He's not eating. And we've got Dave Clark, Dave Geis. And
I can't turn that off, huh?
Oh my gosh, you're worse than me. I couldn't turn off the show last week. Hey Angela, thanks for joining us. Hi Sharon. We got Tom and Laura. All right, Tom and Laura here. That's great. Oh, they love Dave singing. They are.
We got to work on that.
They are. I don't know what they are. Anyway, so this is kind of last week I said we weren't going to have the show. So that's probably why half the people aren't listening yet, but we are having the show. And my sons had their sectional cross country meet, but it was like at 1:40, and so I thought it was going to be later, and it wasn't. Hey April, how are you? She's coming in from Hickory, and Tom. Let's see, we got Angela, Sharon. Thank you,
Sharon.
Guys.
Yep.
So we're going to probably make it a quick show because I don't know how much you can stomach just the hosts, but. Kurt doesn't know this, but he's the special guest. We're just going to say, Kurt.
Yes.
All right, take over, Kurt.
Kurt, put the food down.
It's all yours.
Kurt, you finally made it, man.
You've made it. You're the guest.
All right. Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
All right. Show's over for Kurt. Now we got to do something different. Yep, there we go. There we go. Sorry, Kurt. That was pretty cruel. That was pretty So, the shortened show today, I wanted to make sure we at least got our picks in. And because we don't have a guest today, we want everybody else to put their picks in for the game tonight. Of course, congratulations to the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Dave?
Yeah.
You were a Brave, Dave. You should have been rooting for the Braves. Right, Dave Clark? He's silent over there.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
I've never seen him so silent. Anyway. Who is going to win tonight?
That's all you got to do is bring up the Atlanta Braves to.
No, all you have to do is bring up the 1969 World Series, and then Dave wants to throw his crutch to him. So let's do our picks right away, and whoever's out there listening, let's get your picks on here for tonight's game, and let's see, we've got the Baltimore. No, we have the Indianapolis Colts. That just makes
what a gap that was.
No, I was in purpose. I did that on purpose, just for you, Mr. Baltimore. Mr. Baltimore, the Indianapolis Colts going against the New York Jets. And I think we should start with Kurt today, since you're our special guest.
Drum roll.
I'm going to predict New York Jets.
Ooh, New York Jets. Ooh. There we go. There we go.
2 in a row.
We got one for the Jets. And what about you, Mr. Clark?
I don't think the Jets have it in them to pull off 2 in a row. They did me a favor by beating the Bengals on Sunday to put Baltimore back in first place. It so just, I don't like to brag. But you losers last week. Yeah, there you are. There you go.
Yeah, okay. All right.
There you go. So, and
you don't
Dave,
like brag, though.
Dave, you went against your own club, man.
I did.
That's really bad.
You did. You went against your own club.
And that's what I get. That's what I get.
That's why you got slapped in the face, man. Yeah, that interception at the end must have.
Yeah. Holy cow! What happened on that?
So, but Colts.
Going with the Colts. Dave Geis?
Definitely the Colts. I don't think the Jets are going to be able to, like Dave said, they beat Cincinnati last week. There's no way I can't see them winning 2 in a row.
All right, so this is my thinking. I'm going to go
Here we
against
go.
Dave Geis and say the Jets, because if Dave Geis said the Colts, then it makes sense that the Jets will win.
Oh, all right. I see what you're
that's
doing.
painful.
I see.
No, I want the Jets
Wow.
to win tonight for some reason, and I like the Colts, but I don't know. I think I'm going to go with the Jets. I think they're on a roll. I think they got
That
some.
gives me a 2-game lead.
Maybe.
So, Dave, I've known a lot of Baltimore Colt fans.
Correct.
And they've kind of followed the Colts to Indy as fans. Now, are you a Baltimore Raven fan or an Indianapolis
yeah.
Colts fan?
Yeah, big time.
Ravens fan.
Yeah.
It was just the city. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. I've always been a Baltimore fan.
Yeah.
Period. You know, the old Bullets, if people can remember them, the NBA
Baltimore
team.
Bullets, yeah.
Of course, they had to change their name
Right,
now.
Probably that's worse than the Washington old name. We can't say anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Washington, and then of course the Bullets moved to Washington.
Right.
Became the Washington Bullets.
Right.
People don't. I'm sure people don't know the hockey team that was there for many years, the Baltimore Clippers. And then they were a minor league team. They were American Hockey League, and then they went to being called the Baltimore Skipjacks.
Yeah.
And then the Baltimore Bandits, and they no longer have a hockey team. But I've been a Baltimore fan. I mean,
why Baltimore?
I mean, that little picture of me as a youngster there, it wasn't too long after that when Dad started taking us to Baltimore for a weekend every year. And we would see the Orioles because we had their AA farm team 20 minutes from our house in Corning. And I saw all the I mean, you know, today people see the Orioles and they're a lousy organization. And I'll agree with that. But back in the day, if you go back to the 60s, early 70s, they won the World Series in 66 against the Dodgers. They lost to the Mets in 69. They beat the Reds in 70, and they lost to the Pirates in 71. So they had a run there. And they were in the playoffs every year. They didn't get to the World Series every year, but they were in the playoffs every year. And so, you know, that was got a lot of stories from the old Memorial Stadium. Not all good ones either, but
there's a lot of history with Baltimore sports. A lot of good history with Baltimore sports. Unfortunately, not recent, but
you know, I don't know if you were on the team. I don't think you were yet. The Indianapolis Clowns, because I've told this story before, but we played a game in Baltimore in 1984.
Okay.
And when they announced the starting lineups, I was the first guy out. And we did it. They had us do it kind of like the World Series. We came out, stood on the foul line. Both teams got introduced. We stood on the foul. When my name was announced, and leading on first out for Indianapolis, boo! They're booing the heck. I'm going, what the hell? What's going on here?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't. And the next guy, and second for Indianapolis, boo! And I'm going, what?
Oh, Indianapolis, of course.
It took me three guys to finally realize the name Indianapolis because they moved.
They had just moved
in '84,
right?
And so the name Indianapolis, just anything associated, and they were all over it. And I wanted to yell up to them, "No, I'm a Baltimore fan, man."
Clowns. Just say the Clowns, not Indianapolis Clowns.
So that was an eye opener there.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I went to school in Indiana. Out of high school, I went to a small school in Indiana, and that was right when the Colts were new. And if you remember, they were awful. They were beyond awful.
In Indy, the first few years in Indy, first
several years, they were just terrible. And I think it was Bob and Tom. I don't know if you know the Bob and Tom, famous radio guys that were out of Indianapolis.
No.
And every Sunday they had a new parody song called "Lord Help Our Colts." and they would just basically talk about every bad play that went on. And there was an extremely funny, very creative, and they had plenty of material to go with.
Yeah, I'm
Because
sure.
the Colts were so pathetic
Yeah.
during that stretch, during that run, shortly after that move over from Baltimore to Indianapolis.
You know, my brother Dan and I were at the last Baltimore Colts game at Memorial Stadium.
Really?
And,
piece of history I didn't know.
But you
we
didn't
were
know
at
it at
the
the time.
well, we didn't know it at the time.
Right, right.
It was the last game of the season they left.
Yeah.
And it was freezing cold.
Yep.
I can remember my brother and I had a white sheet wrapped around us to keep us warm. And there were only about 20,000 people
Oh, wow.
in the stands for that game. They played the Houston Oilers.
Wow.
And they you know, typically in the heyday, when they had Johnny Unitas and Burt Jones as quarterback, they would sell that place out.
Right.
And it was actually called the 33rd Street Outdoor Insane Asylum.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
But that was a sad. The Colts had gone downhill rapidly on the field, and 20,000 people showed up.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm trying to do something that didn't work.
You know, Tom is saying Paul Belanger from Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
Oh,
I think he means Mark Belanger.
Mark Belanger, yeah.
Mark Belanger is the shortstop that played in Elmira. He played in Elmira.
Didn't know how to spell very well, but that's all right. He'll get there. You know, it's all those miles he ran as an ultra runner.
It's Mark, Paul.
There you go. You learned something, Tom.
The other Mark.
The other Mark. The other Paul. The other left.
But he's right.
Anyway.
He's right. And by the way, I played in Pittsfield. I don't know if you ever played in Pittsfield, Dave.
I think I did. It sounds.
If you played in Pittsfield at 5:00 and you were the first baseman, the sun was right in your eyes, and they had that problem for years at the stadium there. You just couldn't see. You
know, getting back to Baltimore, I see one of your had to be an old hero of yours, Tom Maddie, passed away. Huh?
I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah. It was like 2 days ago? 2 or 3 days ago?
2 years ago?
No, 2 or 3 days ago.
2 or 3 days ago. Okay.
Yeah.
You remember when Maddie took over as quarterback?
Quarterback, yeah, I remember.
And he had the plays taped on his arm.
Yeah, yep. He had to be like one of the first guys to wear a wristband with the plays on it.
Yep.
Back then, because it had to be late 60s, I'm guessing. 60s?
That was in the late 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we bore people anymore, I wanted to make a couple of announcements. And we have a Kickstarter coming up, which it looks like we're going to go live. It's been approved. I had to get it all approved. There's more work that people understand, all that stuff. We are planning to go live on the 9th. And any of our fans, what we're going to ask you to do is to kick us off well and at least share this personally with 3 to 5 people that you know. Put it on your social media. Make the announcement, share the videos, whatever we put out there throughout the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then we're going to have some shows like starting tomorrow, because she's in Mexico. We're going to bring back and just have a short announcement. You can get tuned in with that at 2 p.m. Tomorrow on the Pulling Each Other Along show on Facebook, on YouTube, and however else you get the announcement. So all the way from Mexico, Courtney's going to be our first guest. We have no idea what we're talking about. We're going to talk about the Kickstarter. What do you got, Dave?
One question. Is Kevin coming on tomorrow?
I think so, but it's a little difficult to communicate with Kevin. So Kevin, I don't know if you're listening in, but he's got the link. I have a feeling that he might show up to tomorrow, 2 p.m. All the way from Mexico, and me here in Corning, and then whoever else shows up on us, we're going to say hi and talk to Courtney again. She was pretty fun the first time. I know she gave us a really good compliment. She said our show, she's done a lot of these things, but she sent me a little text that she had the most fun on our show that she's ever had on one of these before. So I take that as a nice compliment. I think it was genuine. And then, of course, the Kickstarter coming. On Friday, no, Sunday at 5, I'm going to have Gavin and Brandy are going to be on. And then Monday, we're going to do hopefully an extended pulling each other along. You can come in and out. I have different guests that are going to come on throughout the show, talk about the Kickstarter, say hi to these people. Not sure exactly how many we're getting. I'm still trying to round up some different guests, but please do share that, be a part of it. Make your comments. We got, I'm sure Kevin knows. There we go. He probably does. So anyway, I had questions for you guys because we don't have a guest other than Kurt standing in as our guest. We'll put him front and center and ask him the question too. But if you notice the graphic that I started out with today, if you didn't see that, I got our 3 I don't know, Little Rascal pictures. It almost looks like we could have been Little Rascals. Of course, Dave Geis for sure could have been a Little Rascal.
Kid on the end.
The kid on the end, right?
Fit right in, buddy.
Man, he. I think in another life you must have, that was, you were on that show.
I should have mixed in a salad once in a while.
Something. There's.
That's a catcher's build, man. Right. From the get-go.
Mm-hmm. See, it was meant to be.
But I wanted to, and Dave can't share the wagon story, and he can't share the rope climb story. But I want us to go back to our youth and just share a story of your youth, of possibly something that pulled you along from your youth. And I can start if you want. Dave Clark, you can start. Kurt, you can start. I don't know. Is anybody ready, or you want me to start and you guys can think about it?
Go right ahead.
All right. So the people around here in Corning and Dave, you guys would remember the 1972 flood, correct? And so in 72, I don't know why I have Dave there. It should be me. So
I wasn't there September.
You weren't here, but I wasn't in Corning either. But it just happened to hit this area in a huge way.
Right.
Like where
I was impacted a lot because my family, there was several days, week and a half when I had no contact with them, didn't know where where they were.
So for me, my story is a little different because I'm 8 years old, I think, in 1972. Not an old man like Dave Clark playing professional baseball already. And we were living out in the middle of nowhere in Berks County, Pennsylvania, near the Reading, Pennsylvania area. And we had an old farmhouse. So I was the youngest of 4 brothers and the youngest of 5 kids. And we had 4 feet of water in our basement, and the creek that ran by our farmhouse looked like one of the Finger Lakes. It was so flooded. And people were staying in our house because they got trapped on the roads, all this and stuff. And so when the water started to secede, it was cleanup time. And my mom sent me over to our neighbor's house. And you got to understand, when you live out in the country, the neighbor's house is like, a quarter of a mile away. And so he was a caretaker of a country club called the Green Valley Country Club. And so I'm walking over there and start walking, and before you know it, I am completely stuck in mud up to my knees, and I cannot move. And so I'm sitting there yelling, but it was just far enough away from our house that nobody could hear me. I'm stuck out in the middle of nowhere in mud up to my knees. Looking back on it as an adult, I could have easily fallen in and I'd have been a goner. There's no way that I would have been able to get out of that. But I'm sitting here, I'm not thinking about that. I'm not panicking. I'm just yelling as loud as I can for some of my older brothers to, I guess, come and rescue me. And I don't even know how long it was, but it was finally they were realizing, hey, what happened to Doug? And they start coming up over the little hill across the road. And there they hear me yelling and screaming. And before you know it, all 3 of us were stuck in the mud. And they were obviously, my oldest brother would have been about 15, or my oldest brother, Kurt, not my oldest brother, but my oldest brother there that day, Kurt and Mark. We're literally in the mud, pulling our legs out to try to get further out, pulling another leg out to try to get further out. We were mud head to toe. And of course, fortunately we lived in an old farmhouse where my mom made us take off our clothes and sprayed us off. And in the whole days. But I guess in an essence, though, my brothers fortunately got there in time and rescued their little brother, or we wouldn't even be having the pulling each other along show today. So that's one of my
Wow.
pulling each other along moments as a child. Who's next? Dave Geis.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's see. I guess I'll say my grandfather, because when I was young, there was no father in the picture. So my grandfather was really my male role model, and he was a strict guy. He was a general in the army and all kinds of stuff. He was pretty hardcore. But I remember, I guess I was like, well, let's see, no, it must have been like 8 when just one memory I have when the AFL and the NFL merged. Okay, I hate to keep going back to sports, but he sat me down in the kitchen, and because we used to live above them in a duplex, my mom and I did, and they lived downstairs, and so he sat me down in the kitchen and pulled out his military map. He'd been all over the world, obviously all over the country, and so he would tell me about all these new teams that were coming in and all these teams in this new league and tell me a little bit about them and show me pictures of each city and the state that they were in. And it was just something that we really bonded on at that time. I was only 8, but it meant a lot. And I think that was how I became, I hate to say it, Kurt, but kind of a Denver fan, because he would explain the Broncos as playing up in the Rocky Mountains, and the picture he had was all this snow, and he had a picture of the team, they were wearing orange and all this kind of. I thought, well, this is awesome. His team is playing in the snow all the time. Well, I could have just gone 2 hours north to Green Bay here and seen a team playing in the snow, but it was just, it struck me. So that was one thing. And we also used to go to the National Guard near where we lived, and there were all these tanks and armored vehicles and everything that I used to be able just to play on. And I'd always bring up my glove and my rubber ball, and I'd throw it against the wall, and it would roll past me, and I'd go chase it. Right? So he came up to me and goes, "No, no, no, no. You don't want to do it that way. You throw the ball against the wall, and you keep it in front of you." So I was throwing the ball against the wall, catching it sometimes banging it against my, just anything, just to keep it in front of me. So I think that was kind of the beginning of the catching thing, to be honest with you, because he's told me, do anything you can to keep that ball in front. Don't let it get behind you. You don't want to run after it all the time.
We needed him with us in the Indianapolis Clowns to teach him to do it.
I wish he would have taught me how to hit. But, so I think those two things, they stand out in my mind quite a bit and kind of help pull me along and through my childhood.
Very nice. Kurt, are you ready?
Yeah, I got a lot of thoughts going through my mind. I'm going to talk in terms of neighborhood. And I actually live just a few blocks from the house I grew up in, and actually bought the house I'm in from an old neighbor in the subdivision, a realtor in the subdivision. But the story that, for whatever reason, you guys got me thinking about is I had an opportunity back in my school days to be the first ever council member at my church. So I decided as a youth, I was going to serve as a youth member, first time ever, start a thing that a student is on the council. And so I guess this is bringing me to say I can't say enough for my next door neighbor, the dad next door, the Steve Sobieski. He was serving on the council as well. And I would go over to his house before council meetings, and he would drive me over to the church, and we do these council meetings together. So I guess I'm sharing that, a little church experience, thanks to my neighbor.
Cool.
There you go.
Cool. All right, Mr. Clark.
Do you have any other children's stories that you can say pulled you along?
Yeah. Not sure I've ever shared any of these, but you know, other than my parents who were great, the neighborhood, as Kurt said, all the neighborhood kids that we still keep in touch today, a lot of us. And but two names stick out to me when I think back. Phil Ritz, RITZ, was my first Little League coach. And, you know, back, that was in, I don't know, 62, 63. And, you know, limitations were not looked at the same back then. It was an advanced, I don't want to say thinker, but it took. Phil Ritz was my first coach, and he never treated me any different than any of the other kids on his team. And I can remember him telling the other kids, don't let up when you throw it to Dave. He can catch the ball better than most of you guys. And he just instilled that thought that, you know what, even with your limitations, you can compete here. And compete I did. And I can remember him even sticking me out in right field. I normally played first base, and he put me out in right field, which is, you know, the graveyard for little leaguers. And but I remember and I was like praying for the ball not to find me out in right field, but you know how that goes. And the first batter hit a sinking line drive to right field, and I ran as fast as I could, dove, and caught the ball in the air. And I'll never forget that. And at that time, I was wearing 2 braces, full length, on my legs. So 5 pounds each brace. So I'm carting around 10 pounds. And so he's one that sticks out as pulling me along, you know, giving me the opportunity. The other one is Larry Hungerford. Larry was also a Little League coach. And these guys were instrumental in planting a seed in a young guy that, despite your difficulties, you know, you're going to get a chance here to play with these kids, and you're no different than anyone else. So, you know, and that's Corning, New York. That's Corning, New York. Had I grown up elsewhere, I don't know. I don't know if I'd have had those opportunities the same way. And as I've always said, nothing against Challenger Little League at all. It serves a great purpose, but there was no Challenger then. So had there been Challenger back then, would I have been put in Challenger automatically without being given a chance to compete against so-called able-bodied athletes? So anyway, that's a couple guys that pulled me along.
Very cool.
Yeah, and we still hear from Phil's son from time to time on Facebook, and
we do.
So that's yeah. He tags and he comments and things like that.
I learn something all the time from you. I never know that. I never do that. Phil's son.
If you actually had more than a flip phone, maybe you would get up to speed a little bit.
I'm never gonna change. One of my old teammates told me, stick with that flip phone. Steve Altman. I talked to him this week.
What does Steve know? That's the worst person to give you advice.
No, we had many nights in the bullpen together.
You want to talk about some of those stories?
Yeah, that's pulling each other along.
Yeah, we might keep up the podcast. We
sure did.
And we have let's see, we have a nice comment from April, and she said her dad, and I don't know if you told me this, April.
I didn't know that.
She said he had polio when he was 4, never gave up, and she credits that's where Gabriel got his strength and his wonderful attitude. So thanks for sharing that, April. That's pretty great. And of course, I know how much you miss your son, and so we all do, even though most of us don't know him. Ron Camp, you've cut right in here. Flip phones don't cause stress.
You got it, Ron.
Ooh, for Ron Camp, they do cause stress because you should try texting Dave Clark. It's not a fun thing. He doesn't know the QWERTY or whatever, how to do the text back, and there's no spaces, there's no nothing. It's just one long sentence of words, of letters.
When I want to talk to somebody, I call.
Yeah, I got it. So those are good stories, guys. Thanks for sharing a little bit about our youth, pulling each other along, since we didn't have a guest and weren't sure we were going to have a show. And thanks for everybody for coming on the show today. But we do have a special something that we have to do today. All right. Somebody's birthday is today.
Yes.
And it's Laura Shagnon's birthday. And Laura is a great chapter in the coming Pulling Each Other Along book. Tom and her have just a wonderful connection. Tom is they're soulmates, not just friends, truly soulmates. And so without further ado, we need this wonderful solo from Dave Clark singing happy birthday to Laura Shagnon.
How did I ever get roped into these solos?
No.
I'm telling you, all right, I'm gonna pull a Harry Carey here.
Oh my God.
A one,
oh my
a
God.
two, a three. Happy birthday to you. Woo! Happy birthday to you. Woo! Happy birthday, dear Laura. Happy birthday to
drum roll. You.
Yay.
Happy birthday, Laura.
Very good. Happy birthday, Laura.
Happy birthday, Laura. I hope Facebook didn't lie to us and it was some other date, but I believe it. That can happen. People don't put the right date on their Facebook. So if it isn't, then when it is your birthday, it's happy birthday to Laura. So, no, thanks for being a part of the show, Laura, and you're getting some more happy birthdays here as my granddaughter's trying to knock on the door and get into the show today.
Bring her in.
But I think I locked the door to keep her locked out. Otherwise, she'd be in here every week. So there you go. That's what we want to know.
Boy, I don't know how.
Yeah, there you have it, Dave Clark. When we have 500,000 people watching our show, they'll have to pay for that happy birthday. How's that? If we get there, paid Dave singing, that would be something.
His cameo
professional singer.
Yep, he'll do a cameo and he'll sing happy birthday to you if you give a nice big donation to something. So preferably the Disability Dream and Do. So that'd be great. Anyway, anything else, guys? Has anybody got a question out there? Somebody thinks you're awesome. It's probably got to be Dave. It says you are awesome. Since you did the solo, we'll just give you all the credit, Dave.
There you go.
Anyway, anything else going on? Kurt, you got anything to add to tonight's stories? I was planning on keeping this one short, and 30 minutes has already gone by.
Yeah, it goes by quick.
I was going to pull in the new video, but I was having issues. Maybe I'll see what's going on if that works better tomorrow. We have some new videos to show. There goes Dave's phone. That's great. That's professionalism.
At least he didn't answer it.
So we'll give a sneak peek video.
It's Trey's buddy.
We'll have to mute Dave. I'm gonna mute you, Dave, and we're gonna play a video that I don't know. I guess somebody's seen before, but here we go. This is a new Pulling Each Other Along videos debut, and it's coming from one of our great. Come here, Peanut. Oh my goodness, I'll go get Peanut. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Rocky Blair. What is pulling each other along? Well, to me, it is a concept or a movement where we not only recognize our own personal achievements, but also take the opportunity to pay it forward and to recognize the person, people, or beliefs that pulled us along to our own relative greatness. A pulling each other along movement. may be as small as, well, bringing a wagon to school to give a ride to a classmate who walks with crutches, or coach, parent, or friend that drives you to your very best. Often these moments do not get recognized, but the impact can be extraordinary. I encourage you to visit the Pulling Each Other Along Kickstarter page to offer your support of this life-altering movement. Thank you.
There you have it from Rocky Blyer.
Cool.
We've got to get a big thank you now. I just went and rolled and got her. Hopefully you didn't hear all that, but you probably did.
Oh yeah.
So she's something else. She wanted to be on the Pulling. Do we have a show that we should tell people that's coming soon?
Yeah.
What's that show gonna be called?
Peanut popcorn
The Peanut and Popcorn Show? Is that what it is?
Uh-huh.
Let's see. I thought it was gonna be the Popcorn and Peanut Show.
It's the popcorn peanut show.
No, it's the Peanuts and Popcorn Show. It should be the Peanuts and Peanut Show since you're so cute.
Mhm.
Then more people would watch it. Do you want to say hi to everybody out there?
Mhm. Hi.
Yeah, there you go. You get to be on the Pulling Each Other Along show.
What's your favorite donut?
What's your favorite donut? Who's your special guest?
One,
A big one.
I like the pink frosting on it.
On the what?
Frosting.
The pink frosting.
Frosting. Yeah. There you go.
She's better at ice cream. What's her favorite ice cream? At Dippity Doodles.
And blue.
Pink and blue. Yes. And I think somewhere we have, I can show. This is a little Pulling Each Other Along video. There you go. That was a little video we did about a year or so ago.
Mhm.
And that was promoting what book? What book was that promoting?
Me.
No, not you. The book that who's in the book with Ernie Pound? Dave is in the book with Ernie Pound. There we go. So we have Peanut. Do you want to say hi to Dave?
Hi, Dave.
And you want to say hi to the other Dave?
Hi, Dave.
Hi.
Say hi to Kurt.
Hi, Kurt.
There we go. All right. You're going to go back to your mommy now since I got you on the show and you got to promote the Peanuts and Popcorn Show. There you go. Well, that's professionalism at its best. Let's see. What's that? My 3-year-old is screaming hi right now. Well, hi back to your 3-year-old. And that's pretty funny. Pink ice cream. She likes pink ice cream too. All right. That could be the consensus. So anything else going on, guys? My boys had a good cross-country meet today, so that was kind of fun. They qualified for the New York State. Not that was a big shocker. They're ranked number 1, but still had to do it. You still got to compete.
Right. Exactly.
Still got to make it
It's always a
happen.
good thing.
Yeah. So anything in Wisconsin, Kurt? We had some flurries today too. That was kind of frightening.
Yeah, we had some yesterday actually.
Did you? You brought it our way. Dave Clark, did you have any flurries?
Oh, is he on mute?
Oh, you know what? I still have him on mute. That's a good thing. There you go. That was the best part of our show. Dave was on mute.
Okay, here we go. Snow. No, we had no snow. It was 80 degrees. 80 degrees.
Yeah, that's
Great baseball weather.
Yeah.
That's the rough life. So anyway, thank you all for joining us. Go Jets, so that I can be tied with Dave Clark and not tie with Dave Geis.
Jets will get her done, guys. Here we go.
I'm so tired though. I don't know. I was staying up for the World Series, and
Yeah.
I don't know if I could stay
Hey,
up.
only what, 115 more days till spring training starts? Something like
Is
that?
that it? Is that all?
Yeah. It's right around the corner.
Yeah, you're gonna be in any bullpens?
So say what?
You gonna get in any bullpens?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, folks that are still listening, don't forget to participate in some Pulling Each Other Along extra shows that are going to come up. They could come up at random as well, depending on guests. I'm trying to get Rocky. Rocky was going to be on the show. Rocky Blyer was going to be on the show Monday, but he's going to be at the Monday Night Football game honoring a veteran.
Oh, yeah.
So he's going to be part of the festivities on Monday Night Football. It's in Pittsburgh, I think.
Against the Bears, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, he's not going to be on the show on Monday night now. So he will be in Pittsburgh at Monday Night Football. And but I'm pretty sure we're going to get Rocky on, and would love to get your comments about the video that he did. I've got some other ones that are similar. Dave Clark did one. We have a combination one, and we're working on some other videos and other things just to get the word out. I don't want to say desperately. That's probably not the right word. We truly want your help in getting this Kickstarter off the ground. We have a big goal, and we're not going to be able to do it without the help of everyone. And if you just tell 3 to 5 people, even if they just contribute a small amount, the more momentum that we get early on, the better chance that we have to hit the goal. So I'm looking here. What do we got? I'm following and I get alerts. Thank you. And do tell people. We appreciate that, Kirsten, and appreciate you being a part of the show. And so we just need to know about 300 or 400 more people just like you. And so, and then after we get 300 or 400 more like you, we need what, 3,000 or 4,000 more, something like that. I don't know where it's going. They all want to hear Dave Clark's stories.
There you
Right.
go.
Right.
So Kurt, thanks for joining in and being our special guest for 2 seconds
My pleasure.
and sharing your story in Wisconsin. And so without further ado, we are going to say goodnight. Dave, do you have any more bumper music for us since it's your singing night?
I think Dave Clark's singing still.
You got some bumper music for us to say goodbye to?
I got to sing again?
No, I don't know. I don't know if we can handle it. There we go. Somebody thought it was a great show. There's Sharon. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, everybody. Where's some bumper music to say goodbye to?
You got
This
no
is worse than last week. It wouldn't
Okay,
shut
here
off.
we go.
That's the only song he knows. Oh, now we have more people listening than ever. All right, everybody say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good night. Good night.